1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you got it.
Hi, my name is Julie Salter-Keane. I'm the manager of the Climate Leadership Division at the City of Kingston, and I'm going to tell you more about the Climate Leadership Plan.
That was Kingston's own The Meringues with the track Tell Me Twice from last year's YGK Music. Find this track and many more at cityofkingston.ca/YGK Music. Welcome to Tell Me More, the City of Kingston podcast. I'm Rob Hosier, your host and a communications officer here at the City of Kingston. To my left, physically distanced, masked, and drinking a whole lot of pumpkin spice latte, is our producer Paul Whittingham, also a communications officer here at the City. And finally, behind the scenes is our communications officer, editor, and journalist at large, Julie Lee Stitt. And of course, you heard from our fabulous guest at the top of the episode. That's us here in the Councillors Lounge, deep in City Hall, and thanks for joining us today. If you caught any of our other episodes, welcome back. If you haven't before, please like, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. If you like what you hear, tell everyone you know, and we'd love to get on the radar of those who haven't heard us yet. I'd like to recognize Kingston is on the traditional homeland and territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat, and thank you to these nations for their care and stewardship. A little about me, I'm originally from the BC Lower Mainland, and my ancestry is Irish-English. Climate change. It's on the hearts and minds of many Canadians, and it's no wonder. This summer we saw wildfires rage for months on end, displacing communities across northern Ontario. Meanwhile, in Western Canada, in my home province of British Columbia, we saw the same conditions. Drought conditions on the prairies destroyed crops and decimated grasslands. Here, in Kingston, we're not exempt. Climate change is causing more frequent and more extreme weather events, flooding along our lakes and in our homes, shifting growing seasons, and then there's the pests, invasive species and ticks. Climate change has made its way into our daily lives and is becoming more common and more costly to respond to. But what is being done about it? And in 2021, what role does a municipality play in addressing climate change? Here to tell us more is the one, the only, Julie Salter-Keane. Julie is the manager of the city's Climate Leadership Division, a small, dedicated team that is working to advance the climate actions across the corporation and community. A tall order for most, not Julie. She is known for her persistence, her planning, and her ability to stare down big projects. She's worked on initiatives like the Kingston Penitentiary Revisioning Project, Canada's Sesquicentennial, and helped advance accessibility initiatives for the city for many years. Without further ado, welcome, Julie. Now, Julie, we have a lot to discuss today. Obviously, this is a big topic. There's big questions. But before we get right into it, can you tell me a little bit about how you came to work at the City of Kingston, but even more particularly, how you started working with climate change?
Well, first off, I am not a climate scientist or a technical expert. I'm a land use planner by trade. I'm good at piecing together big, complex projects and then figuring out how we arrive at the best possible solution. What I do is I bring back the experts and the doers together so we can develop plans and policies and programs that are going to help the city reach carbon neutrality. Now, I know this is a term that we get referenced often. What it means is by 2040, the city will avoid or offset as many greenhouse gas emissions from the environment as it produces.
That's ambitious. Wow. But from a communications officer perspective, thank you for defining carbon neutral for us. I feel like it's a buzzword you see in the media. It's often used and maybe not wholly understood. So Julie, tell me why the city is working on the climate leadership plan.
The city recognizes the urgency of the climate emergency, and in close consultation with subject matter experts, community partners, and residents, we have drafted a climate leadership plan to chart a path to achieve the city's target of carbon neutrality by 2040. Now, Rob, that target is a decade more aggressive than the Government of Canada's and many other institutions and other governments. We needed the experts to tell us how to achieve this goal and lots of planning to get us there.
So we're leading the way in this initiative. We're leading the country as far as our timeline goes. Is that correct?
We are absolutely leaders.
That is what Kingston is all about. If anyone that doesn't live in Kingston is listening to the podcast, leading the way in this particular area as well. Now, I got hugely into environmentalism because I have a young daughter, and I got to praise the community school system for ingraining a lot of climate messaging in their programming, because she is absolutely concerned about the environment to the point that she polices our household when it comes to a lot of our recycling habits and things like that too. But as a family, it's something that we have to discuss often, and we gladly discuss often. But I need to ask you, a little bit more of an obvious question. What role can a municipality play in a meaningful climate action?
It makes me very excited to hear that your daughter's so passionate about climate action.
Oh my gosh, it's a blessing and a curse. It really is.
We are going to need more people like her and those good ideas and energies as we move forward. And it's each of the roles we play in tackling climate change, including the City of Kingston. Kingston and Kingstonians get their work done. I've learned that well through my work with the City of Kingston, many projects. Achieving the targets in Climate Leadership Plan will not be just the work of the corporation. It will require the corporation and participation of all Kingston residences and businesses. But Council understands that if they're going to look to residents to lower their energy consumption and take action toward the Climate Leadership Plan goals, they must walk the talk when it comes to city operations and facilities. Our City Council made demonstrating leadership in climate action its number one strategic priority, and that is what we're going to do when we undertake our work to tackle ambitious projects like our Climate Leadership Plan, which will identify climate actions the city and community can take to help us reach carbon neutrality no later than 2040.
There's that ambitious goal, and it takes all hands on deck to make this happen, from the community, from council, from the city, from everywhere. But I want to talk to you about the actual Climate Leadership Plan itself for a second. But first, give me a bird's eye view of ways that the city is tackling climate action.
Well, it has to be a bird's eye view, or we're going to be here all day. Taking climate action change cannot happen within one department. Right. I want to underline that citywide staff are constantly evaluating their work through the lens of climate change. Some examples of way we're reducing our GHG emissions include adding 2 new electric buses to Kingston Transit and working towards replacing an existing fleet of electric and hybrid vehicles.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting. We have an extensive electric vehicle charging network installed throughout the city. Facilities management has brought all city buildings into one energy automation system, so we're being as efficient as possible. And we just built our first net zero building with the Kingston Fire and Rescue Fleet Garage, and the Kingston East Community Center will be near net zero. Parks are being designed for a changing climate to include a variety of species to increase their resiliency, and we're doubling our tree canopy, and the list goes on.
I was going to say, this has to be a bird's eye view, because man, that is quite a list already just from that view.
And I need to mention, though, that doing the right thing for our environment will also mean doing the right thing for our economy. By building more efficiently, retrofitting and monitoring our energy use, the corporation is not only reducing its footprint, we're saving dollars too that can be reinvested in Kingston.
Win, win, win. This is absolutely amazing. Help me understand how the Climate Leadership Plan fits into the overall picture.
Well, we have all the great initiatives underway by city staff, but to become carbon neutral, we need to have a good understanding of what's being done and the gap we need to bridge.
So sort of like an accounting exercise per se.
Exactly, Rob. That's exactly what we're doing. We're looking at where we're cutting emissions and where we're increasing them or staying the same, and then planning for how we get to zero.
Okay, so tell me more, walk me through a bit this planning.
Through community and stakeholder engagement, we've identified what the climate change impacts are. This includes extreme weather events that jeopardize city infrastructure. We've seen that over the last number of years. Extreme heat that places an added burden onto our energy costs. Certainly this summer we've seen that. Our vulnerable residents and our emergency services. The draft Climate Leadership Plan strives to respond to the climate emergency with ambitious carbon reduction policies and equitable implementation of these policies to make sure our climate actions work for everyone in the community. We want to be inclusive as possible.
Gotcha. So tell me more about these categories.
So with the impacts identified, we start to look at solutions, and these solutions or actions fit under 2 categories: adaptation and mitigation. Adapting to climate change means understanding what climate we are likely to experience in the future and creating proactive plans that take that advantage of opportunities and prepare for the impacts. While this is different than mitigation, which refers to our efforts to limit climate change by reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. Some solutions that we have found fit under both categories. For an example, An example of mitigation and adaptation we can find in 200 locations in our city, our beautiful parks. The city knows nature-based solutions play an essential role in addressing climate change, which is why Council committed to doubling our urban tree canopy. Parks mitigate the effects of climate change by sequestering carbon. They're also an adaptive tool because they're a space residents can escape to for relief on these extreme heat days.
That's amazing. And it's just that dual purpose again. One of the many things my family loves about the city, and I know visitors alike, tourists love, are the parks. And I know during COVID-19, it became so important for our mental health as gathering places and places we can physically distance but still be together. But to think they're also playing this essential role in the fight against climate change, that's incredible. They're beautiful, wonderful places, but they're also helping in the battle as well.
Exactly, that's for sure.
So we now know the Climate Change Leader Plan is an action-filled document. Obviously, that list is absolutely massive. How close are we to putting it to action?
Very close. This plan has been more than 1.5 years in the making.
Okay. So it's been developed during the pandemic. So you didn't have enough to do, but you're going to throw this on there as well.
That's right, Rob.
Wow.
It was no easy feat. It was a lot of work and a lot of input from the public as well. But it also means we were able to include elements in the plan that take into account current economic challenges. So to answer your question about how close we are to implementation, we have 2 final phases. Right now, we have the summary of the plan posted online at GetInvolved.Kingston for residents to review. Okay. We want people to read the summary and complete a brief survey. Honestly, it will take 10 minutes to complete that survey. Okay. This is residents' opportunity to tell us if the plan resonates with them. Following that, we'll take the community input and apply it to the document. And later this fall, we'll take the full plan to City Council for review, and we're asking them for endorsement in order for staff to implement the actions of the plan. Then the hard work begins.
So we can get the plan online, we can call for it, but I hear that you might be engaging, and now that we've kind of a little bit less locked down, you might be engaging somewhere very public very soon.
Yes, we're very excited that we're going to be at the market on October 5th and October 7th at Market Square. You can come and find me and other colleagues to be able to talk about the draft climate leadership plan. We'll have a copy of the survey there where people are able to partake in undertaking to complete that. And we're going to have some panels out on Market Square as well that will highlight the different sectors in the plan where we want some public engagement on.
Perfect. And those information panels are going to be out there on those October dates, or are they going to be out there a little bit longer?
They will be installed early next week, and they'll be there until the end of October.
That's perfect. So if you happen to miss those specific dates, you can go back and kind of read up on the plan if you're not online with public engagement right now. Exactly.
We're trying to reach out to as many people as possible.
Very cool. Well, I really hope people take the time to put a little bit of input into this super, super important topic, obviously, as we learned today. But all that to say, we could talk all day on this. You know, we took bird's eye view of things, and we took a little bit higher level look at this because it is such a complex project. But I definitely encourage you to come back. We want to hear progress, to update on all your team's work and how the implementation of the plan is going. But I think this might be a good place to stop things right now and to encourage folks to continue on the research on the climate action plan, either on GetInvolved.CityofKingston.ca. We'll have all that information in the actual podcast notes as well to access it, or you can come out to Springer Market Square and join us live for a little bit of engagement on this important subject. Thank you so much, Julie. Really, really a pleasure to have you here today.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. It's been my pleasure to be here. And as well, if anybody has any questions in addition to the public engagement, they're welcome to reach out to me, Julie Salter-Keane at Cityofkingston.ca. Anytime, I'd be happy to get back to them.
Perfect. We will actually put those in the podcast notes as well. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Remember to subscribe and rate us wherever you get your podcasts. If you have a topic for a future episode, tell us more. Tweet at City of Kingston using hashtag #TellMeMore, or send us an email at tellmemore@cityofkingston.ca. For more on this episode, visit cityofkingston.ca/podcasts. Tell Me More is produced by the City of Kingston's Communications and Customer Experience team.
Thanks for listening. Now, why not get involved? Get Involved Kingston is our online platform where you can share your ideas for making Kingston a better place to live, work, and play. Once you sign up, it's easy to follow and participate in engagement opportunities that will help shape projects, policies, and initiatives. Go to cityofkingston.ca and you can't miss it. Paul, are you involved?